$200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES.
Only on the Super NES.
You're listening to the SNES broadcast with your hosts, Soulblazer and George.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Super NES podcast. This is our last episode of 2018. I am Greg. He is George.
Insert stinger here.
Yes, and we've decided to follow the old saying of imitation is a serious form of flattery by copying some other podcasts. Cough, cough, Ferg, cough, cough.
So what about imitation crab? Does that mean crabs are flattered that there's imitation crab out there, or...
Imitation crab is nasty. I don't know how anybody can...
I would argue that any seafood is nasty, but that is
I
another
love seafood,
podcast.
So yeah.
That's another podcast.
No, I totally, as a New Englander, I definitely cannot be on board with that statement. I love seafood.
I mean, as an Italian New Yorker, I dislike seafood so much, but again,
I'm not actually a fan of New York
thing.
Style pizza either. So I mean,
what?
Yeah. So
you don't like good pizza? What do you eat? Dumpster pizza? What is wrong with you?
So yeah, it comes to the territory. But in any event, yes, we are expressing our appreciation to other fine podcasts out there by ripping off an idea of theirs.
It's not ripping off. We're doing what they're doing, but they don't care. There was a time where I did stuff and I actually would ask people like, "Hey, like, do you mind if I do this in a podcast?" And like one person was like, "Hey, listen, like you don't have to ask me to do something that's similar to like our podcast. You know, we don't own rights or anything to it. There's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead." So actually, I think that might have been that might have been like Paul from the Intellivisionaries or something.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, listen, like, hey, it doesn't matter. Just go and do it. I don't care. Like, awesome that you want to do that.
Yeah. I don't give Paul enough credit. He's the one who actually wrote the opening and closing songs for this podcast several years ago. So
yes,
and has been very kind to send over new versions of that as hosts have come and gone. So. Many thanks to him.
Well,
for
too
that,
bad next year he's gonna need to make a new one. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
But yeah, so I don't think. Yeah, you're right. So I don't think Ferg cares. I mean, like, heck, I have my own theme song.
I think Ferg would want us to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my own theme song on Ferg's podcast now for my segment, so I really don't think he cares.
Oh, I need to start listening to that again then.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. But anyway, so what's this idea? Like you might say, we're just going to cover briefly the games we covered in this podcast in 2018. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And boy, there have been some uglies. So...
that's very rude. I try to look as best as I can for this podcast, Greg, and that's... Oh, wait, you're talking about the games.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what do you have positive to say about our first game that we're going to be covering, our first game for 2018, which was your pick, I belive, Rival Turf?
It is a game, and you can play it, and that is, it's all right. It's nothing special, but what can I say about it? I could say that it's all right.
It runs pretty smoothly. It doesn't have any game crashing bugs.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So this.
Yep. All right. Next game.
This may be my least favorite game of the year. I mean,
I'm not surprised.
I didn't hate it, but it's also like, it's so blah. I mean, just like in every possible way. It's like the graphics, the music, the moves, the characters, the story. It's like I know they were cashing in all those Street Fighter 2 fighting crazes going on during this time period, but could they at least have put a little bit of effort and not made it so obviously a cash grab?
No.
And that box art, I mean, it's like those like two wannabe
I mean, I think that's just the American.
Kids.
I think that's just the North American box art.
It is
or
just the North
whatever,
American version.
but,
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of a difficult call when you're talking about box art because
Yeah,
it's just
suppose.
like back then it was just like the team who was or the people bringing it out or whatever is like, oh, I don't know, do this or whatever. Also, like, remember there's different territories where like
Yes. Yeah.
North America was so much different from Japan because
Exactly.
Japan would let almost anything slide over there, and over here it's just like things get heavily censored and this and that. So yeah,
And there are some things
rough.
that are censored. Yep, of course. But it also goes the other way. There are some things. Yeah, there are some things in Japan that are censored that are not censored like over here. So.
Right. That
yeah.
is more about like things like violence, which is just so mind blowing.
Also, sexual stuff. Like, you have to remember.
Yes and no.
You have to remember until recently it was against the law to show well sexual organs in like Japanese films and that kind of stuff. So they had to be like mosaiced out. So I mean, yeah, just like cultural differences.
It's been a while since I've heard anyone call it that. But
well,
yes.
this is a family friendly podcast. I got to pick the words carefully.
You can say censored. Censored is a word that is family friendly.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I said mosaic because that's actually what they do to the image.
Right,
so.
I know, but like I said, it's been a while since I've heard anybody call it that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I think also the law got changed recently. Like when I heard, so I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if they're still doing that. But anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go to Japan and buy some DVDs.
But anyway, yeah, Rival Turf is a very, very forgettable fighting game. Not the worst fighting game I've played, but pretty far down the list. So, I guess the best thing I say about it is that it's stable and doesn't crash. Our next game, however, was much better at least. This was the first of 2 pinball episodes we covered on the podcast this year, where we were joined by Nick of various pinball podcasts. So, who brought his excellent pinball knowledge to the table, and thank God for that, because the guy's a freaking genius when it comes to that stuff. So, yeah, Pinball Fantasies, port of the original game that was on the Amiga with like 4 tables. Ported pretty well with Super NES. I mean, like, there are core concessions they had to make for, the graphics and the screen scoring and that kind of stuff. But all in all, this is a pretty good pinball game. I really enjoy some tables were better than others, but overall, I thought it was a very impressive port.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's not perfect, but.
It's certainly like one of the better console pinball games out there. So.
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah. So, and we're talking about doing other pinball games in the future, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, Pinball Fantasies is definitely the better of the 2 games that we covered. We'll get to the other one later on, which is not as good, unfortunately. Then we had a game I had no experience with. Speaking about ports, this is a video game adaptation of a popular TV show of the time period, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. One of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Super NES games. I think there were 3 of them altogether. 3 or 4, I can't remember at this point. There were a lot.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, this one is the beat-em-up platformer game, which I admit, it's not very, I was too old for the show, like I'm like George, so I have no memory of actually watching it or whatnot. But when I remember, I was very impressed by, the characters and the graphics and the graphics and how good how good it looked compared to like the TV show. So, very good adaptation, like in that sense at least. So, as far as
it's definitely better than the Sega CD game.
Yep, that's true.
The Sega CD game is literally just like the first couple of episodes or whatever with button prompts. So
yeah, with like
yeah.
Oh yeah, what do they call those? I'm
waiting.
Yeah, real-time events like RTs.
QuickTime events.
QuickTime events. Yeah, that. Yep. That term also works. So
I would argue real-time events would just be a whole video game, other than cutscenes. But
maybe, but yeah, perhaps.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like, pretty decent fighting game. I mean, like, certainly certainly much better than Rambo Turf. But because the characters play different like from each other at least, and like the music's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty faithful adaptation about the core ideas, just like the TV show. So whether you like it or not, will really depend upon your own experience of the show, I think.
Yeah. There's definitely like other better Power Rangers games on this platform, but
yeah,
it's still a fine game. It gets very frustrating with like the platforming and stuff later on, but otherwise the fighting is kind of so-so. Like it's a little bit better than so-so, right? I would say.
Sure.
It's not the best game, but if you have some kind of history with the series in some kind of sense, it's definitely some game you could check out.
Definitely agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So, this next game might be your least favorite game of the year, George. I certainly know I liked it better than you did.
Actually, looking at this list, it might not be my least favorite.
I was always curious to play this. So one of the great things about the podcast is checking out games you're always curious about. So we looked at Mega Man Soccer, which is a
depending on where you look, it might be Mega Man Soccer or Mega Man Soccer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I think the label says Mega Man's Soccer, but like everywhere else calls it Mega Man Soccer or something like that. It was something I noticed at least. It was very weird. Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look that up because I didn't see that. Huh. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, the game's basically what it sounds like. You're playing soccer with Mega Man characters. But
this would probably be like if they tried making something like this again, and not making it like a full-fledged game, but like maybe like one of those smaller like $20 games, whatever. Like I feel like it would be an interesting game, and I feel like a bunch of people would actually like it.
Speaking about like remakes $20 games. This is a little bit off topic, but not only did a big game get released on the day that we're recording this, the newest installment of Super Smash Bros. Also, they came out with a remake on the Switch of the original, like the original Katamari game.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I didn't hear about it, and I saw somebody posted something on Twitter, and I was like, "What?"
It's gotten very little press.
That's a shame because it's a good game.
I actually have not played it, believe it or not. One of the games I always meant to check out and never actually get.
That's gonna change.
I'll definitely have to check this out because I'm curious about it. But anyway, speaking about remakes, I definitely agree with you. I mean, like soccer games, pretty much soccer games were very popular during the 80s and 90s with computers and consoles. But nowadays, you pretty much have FIFA and that's it. So it's like, and considering how popular soccer is in the rest of the world.
There's also Pro Evolution Soccer. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
That was like the only game Konami didn't stop making for a while.
Right, I forgot about that series. I didn't know it was still around.
My favorite part is one of the PlayStation versions. The ball is just literally a cube. That's my favorite part.
Sega was making a very good soccer game series for a while too, back when doing sports games.
The Dreamcast era?
Yeah,
and like the very early Xbox era. Actually, I don't know if they made soccer during the Xbox era.
No, but... I think it was more the I think it was more the PS2 era, but or something around there. So, but anyway, So I mean, as far as soccer games goes, this one's a pretty easy one to pick up and play. It's very cute. It's very charming. It has definitely certainly has a Mega Man.
All the characters have different stats, which is an interesting thing.
Yep, and they're all based off the characters in the game too, which is like pretty impressive. So
all of the games up until then, yes.
Yep. So very good effort by Capcom to make their to give us a very Mega Man feel for a soccer game.
Yeah.
I said this back then. I said this back then. I still feel this way now. This really feels like somebody's like pet project in Capcom. They're like somebody just messing around one day after work, being like, what can I do with these characters?
But I mean, like, that's not the first time that's happened. We personally haven't seen a lot of it over here,
right.
But like, that's kind of a thing that they do in Japan sometimes. Is they'll make weird spin-off games and whatnot. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
So, but I still
we
cannot
still
figure...
don't see a bunch of them, even with series that we do get over here.
True.
It's really weird.
And I still cannot figure out for the life of me why this game never got released in Europe, considering how popular that soccer is in Europe. But
I mean, a bunch of Final Fantasy games never came out in Europe until Final Fantasy VII. So
well, yeah, but that one I understand. But that one I understand.
Are you saying
reasons.
Europeans aren't good at RPGs or they don't understand RPGs?
No, I was just saying that.
Say?
I think it's a combination of two reasons. Europeans have always been bigger computer gamers than console gamers.
But they still had consoles.
Yes, but
I mean, I know
Nintendo
was not as popular over there. Obviously, it was more about Sega. But
and games,
I don't know.
Yeah, and the second big reason I think is that games are more expensive over there, both to port and also sell in the stores.
Europeans write in. You wish you had Final Fantasy back then?
Yeah. Probably.
Oh, I didn't know you were European, Greg.
Well, I have a lot of European friends, so I kind of know the perspective. But yeah, I'm just giving my educated guesses as whether it was more common back then. But thank God it's not a thing now. So
yeah. Well, I mean, on top of that, it's also very easy to get games that are not from your region.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
right, yeah.
you know.
But yeah, speaking about RPGs, George.
Boy.
Yeah, this one's your pick.
Yeah.
Speaking about ports, the port of the popular computer game Ultima 6: The False Prophets.
This is a rough game.
A big computer game like this, I can understand it struggling to come out on a console. It's more impressive to me that they've tried.
There are RPGs of just the same year that are better than this. This is such a weird game in how it works, and it's so weird that it makes it so brutal at the beginning. This is definitely not a game for anybody who gives up easily. It's not a game for anybody who's not good at games. There's a long list of who this is not for.
But that's true of the whole Ultima series. This isn't just that port itself, but the Ultima games have always been wicked difficult.
I mean, but this is a weak one because of just how everything works, and technically it's a short game as well. The only reason why it's so long is because how long it takes to walk everywhere, and you also have to worry about your characters and trying to level them up and getting this and getting that.
Because a lot of people. Yeah, which is strange because a lot of people consider this game and the next one, 7, to be the best games of the series. And I remember having a lot of fun playing this on the PC. Well, because this was one of the first games to really introduce the ideas of
Seven was it called Exodus or whatever? Is that what that
8,
one was?
No, 8 was Exodus.
Exodus?
I'm sorry. Exodus was earlier.
What am I thinking? Which one was the one that EA bought out the series or the company? And then made it really bad. Was that 7 or was that after that?
Oh, after that 9.
It was 9, was it?
Yeah, 9 was the last Ultima game.
That's forget. After. This information has left my head because just a bunch of other stuff just popped in. Yeah. My mind is all about swapping out information. So
well, Ultima 6 was groundbreaking when it came out. It came out because one of the first console games, at least, that introduced the idea of of unique character creation, of a character creation and a whole morality system, how your actions in game actually affected your character's stats and abilities, how you play the game and whatnot. So it was a very highbrow, very what's the word I want to use? A very interesting experiment with real life decisions affecting your in-game your in-game play experience, so to say. So I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive they tried. And the ports, and don't get me wrong, the port's fully playable. It's just it's a very rougher experience compared to like PC original.
But also just in general, it's just a rough game.
Well, it is like a very difficult game. Yes, I mean for sure. So, but I remember having a lot of fun with this game as a kid. So, Super NES port, it's playable. It's just not a very good good adaptation. I mean, you can very easily get the whole series on Steam and GOG for like pennies on a dollar these days. There's really, there's really no reason except for like nostalgia or curiosity to check out this port of the game.
Yeah.
If it support the mouse, I think I might have handled like a bit better. But,
you know what's a really good game that supports the mouse? Mario Paint.
Mario Paint's awesome with the mouse. Yes.
That's my favorite RPG that supports the mouse. Yep.
Not on this list, unfortunately, because we covered that in 2017. But
dang. My fault.
So we go from a highbrow, intellectual, challenging RPG game to something catering to the lowest common denominator, especially
weird.
Americans.
Who picked this one?
Violence. Oh, I love Total Carnage. This is like this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I've always loved this game since I was a kid.
Such a weird game, but it doesn't mean it's bad. But like, playing it on the SNES is so weird because if you want to shoot diagonals, you have to hit 2 buttons at once, and it just feels so weird.
Well, I mean, like, this isn't a day before twin stick shooters, so they really tried. And
right? No, I understand. I understand. Like, if you bring a twin stick shooter over. Yeah, of course you're gonna be using the face buttons to aim and shoot, but it's just a weird thing looking back and playing it like now. It's just so odd.
It's still a lot better than how the NES and Master System versions of the games like handle the controls.
Wow, you take that back. You actually had to use both controllers. That sounds awesome. Actually, well, with the Master System controller, no, it doesn't. But
so you had both controllers in your hand. You held them vertically, and then you use the
I've seen that with the Smash TV for NES or NES, whatever.
Then you use the pads. The left pad moved your character. The right character,
and the right one was the shooting. Yeah,
the shooter. Right. So I mean, it works. The NES port of the game was my first exposure to the game. At home, you just have once you get the hang of it, it works fine. I
feel like they should have made a controller that had 2 D-pads that plugged into both ports.
People tend to dislike custom controllers because of all the problems associated with it. Like for example, Arkanoid came included with the special controller, and it's playable. And it's playable with the pad, but the controller obviously makes the game 10 times better. The problem is that over the years, those controllers get lost, misplaced, damaged.
Well, that's the people who own them's fault, obviously. Yeah.
So
you just don't throw the Arkanoid controller to Sparky because you think it's a good toy,
But it may simply be like broken like wear and tear. So, but
that happens. But then there's also like people who are competent in like electronics and whatnot and can fix them or even create new ones.
Nowadays,
awesome.
Nowadays there's a huge grassroots effort for that. So
people could have done it 10, 20 years ago still. But,
sure, yeah. But the internet's
maybe not 20, but like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Of course, yeah. But the internet's
I feel like stuff like that has only gotten popular somewhat recently. Which is weird.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But anyway, Total Carnage, which is the sequel to Smash TV, is a game I did not have as much experience with the Smash TV, but it's still a very, very fun game. It's more difficult than Smash TV is. Smash TV is no walk in the park.
Yeah, but there's more to it than Smash TV because you have all this weird teleporting, and I don't even know what's going on.
There's some very messed up stuff in this game, that's for sure. So
yeah, but that stuff is like censored in this game, though, right? Or some of it, or whatever.
A little bit of it. A little bit of it was not that bad, but there is some. There's some censoring going on here for sure. So, now we come to probably my most surprising game of the year. I did not expect to like this game as much as I did because I knew anything about it going in.
This might be my favorite of the list here.
I don't know if it. I have to think about this. I'm not sure if this was my favorite game of the year, but it was certainly like way up there.
Oh, it sounds like there's some contenders. I want to hear those later.
Yeah. Front Mission Gun Hazard, a Japanese-only inspired game by Front Mission.
I really think this would have worked well in the Western audience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would definitely think this would be probably the most popular Front Mission game in the Western audience. Let's say you released all those games that came out in Japan. I bet you this would be the most popular Front Mission game around the time this came out.
Well, to this day, Front Mission still has not gotten a huge fan base here in the States. So
because they keep releasing the wrong ones.
You could argue that.
They put out Front Mission Evolved, but they didn't put out Front Mission 5. Look at this crap. Front Mission Evolved is alright, but it's not Front Mission to me. Like, I'd still kind of play it, but anyway.
You can certainly make that argument. But
we can have like 5 podcasts just about Front Mission.
Yeah. So this is a SquareSoft side-scrolling action RPG game, which is just kind of like a whole bunch of shooting and solving and sleuthing. So
okay, that's better than I could have put it.
Excellent graphics, some of the best graphics in the graphics system, I think, bar none. Just really beautiful, rich graphics, and a very good soundtrack too, as you would expect from SquareSoft at this time period.
Certainly.
Just an amazing soundtrack. So anybody who enjoys any kind of action games with a little bit of RPG stuff thrown into it definitely needs to check this one out. And it has been fully patched as well, so you can play it in English. Yeah,
there's like a lot of other English patches. There's some weird graphical glitches you can get like in certain menus, but otherwise everything obviously works the same. So it's one of those things. Like I forget if I told you, but like there are certain PS2 and even PlayStation translations where like they're like, hey, play this in emulator because like after you get to this part, the translation will like crash your actual system. So like you won't be able to progress after this. So hey, play it in an emulator.
Right.
So
I'd probably say this is my second favorite game that we covered in the podcast this year. So
I think this might be my favorite.
You probably know number one, which we'll get to like later on here because we also covered that game this year. So, well, obviously we covered that game this year. I said like favorite games this year. So it's late. I'm tired. So. Moving on, we go from one fighting game to a different kind of fighting game, but a very different kind of fighting game. This one's this one's actually based on reality. Super Battle Tank War in the Gulf, which is a light simulation action game where you control like an American M1A1 tank in the Middle East during the 1981 Gulf War.
Excuse me, I think you mean Gary Kitchen's Super Battle Tank War in the Gulf?
That is the full official name of it, yes. So,
who knew a chef would be so interested in tanks?
You're still using that joke, huh?
I mean, I have nothing else.
This is a pretty good game. I mean it's light simulation to the point where it still kind of feels realistic without really being like overwhelming for you. I thought the programmers did a very good job of balancing the action parts like the sim parts.
Are you telling me Gary Kitchen is not a name of like a mascot for some kind of like utensilware company or something?
Probably.
I'm Gary Kitchen and I approve this spoon.
Next time you go to one of the gaming conventions that he's actually at, George, you should make that suggestion to him.
I will be in a body bag.
And to be fair, Gary Kitchen only designed the game. He went the concept. He didn't actually program it.
Right.
He was the using the term, he was the director. So, his influence definitely does show here because Gary Kitchen's a very talented programmer who's been around for a very long time, going back to the Atari 2600 days. So, very good graphics, like photorealistic graphics, like in some areas. like I said, a pretty good light simulation game.
I do not want to play this game again.
You didn't like the simulation part of it?
This is an era where it was still weird to have simulation games like this because they just and I get obvious limitations to hardware and everything back then, but simulation games back then are so weird to go back to because it's first of all just like not enough buttons for like everything that you want to do, and I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah, the Super NES was actually better than many other consoles that were like on garbage because you actually had because you actually had like 8 buttons to work with. It's
like going back to that like weird flight sim on the ColecoVision or whatever. Yeah, there's some kind of like flight sim on the ColecoVision, I believe, or was it the Intellivision? It was one of those.
Both systems had one. Had one. Intellivision had B-17 Bomber. ColecoVision had Dam Busters. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah, they both
so
had
weird.
one. But, well, I mean, yeah. I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I think this is the sequel. The sequel to this is a little bit better, I think, in some regards. But this game's still like a pretty good light sim, I think. So, then we go back to ports. A very good port because Konami was involved. This was the time period when Konami could do no wrong.
This is a good game.
Boy, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah.
Companies change.
Sunset Riders, which is a great arcade game and a very good Super NES port.
Yeah.
You're basically a bounty hunter in the Wild West, just going around shooting up a whole bunch of bad guys. What's more to say about it?
Bury me with my money.
Great graphics, tough boss fights, like Konami did with their other arcade ports, like Turtle 4. Very little was changed, like in the arcade game, and it's just as much fun to play on the console like it's in the arcades.
Yes.
And far better to the Genesis version of the game, which got neutered in some ways, unfortunately.
I still haven't played that version yet.
Don't bother.
Okay, all right. Sunset Riders.
For some reason they made some major changes to the port of the game. I don't know why. Memory, time, money, who knows?
You heard it from Greg. Sunset Riders. Don't bother.
On Genesis, at least. The Super NES port still the Super NES port of the game still like a blast to play today. So
you're so quick to correct me there. Whoa.
and like another game covered earlier, Total Carnage. It's also an amazing 2-player game.
Yeah, I still haven't played 2-player of that yet. I tried with somebody, but problems arose. So,
right.
Yeah.
So our next pick, we go back to RPGs, which is also which is a very popular genre on the Super NES. So of course, there's going to be a whole bunch of RPGs that we're going to be covering this podcast.
Yeah.
Again, Japanese only. At least this version of the game is Japanese only. The Super Famicom versions of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, which we got released over here in the West for the NES is Dragon Warrior 1, 2, and 3. So, just pretty much what you would expect for a remake. Just like upgraded graphics and music.
I never played 2 and 3, so
yeah.
There you go.
Dragon Quest has special place in my heart because that was the very first console RPG. So
I think Dragon Quest 3 is like really interesting because it has that whole system of like how you act and everything kind of like affects your beginning stats, and you can change that just by the way you act, and then on top of that it can kind of screw you over though, but like it's really interesting and I like it. And then like it turns out like when you and I were talking, I was like, oh, I got this for some reason. And then you're like, oh, that's weird. I answered the questions and I got this. And you were like more powerful than I was. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I said, automatically, this is a bad game. And no, I'm kidding. But
Yeah,
it's so interesting. I gotta go back and finish those at some point.
Dragon Quest 3 is a fun game. Yes, Dragon Quest 4 is still my favorite game of the series.
I have never played that one either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. So
the next one in line I played was like 8, and I didn't even get far in it.
8 was very good. 8 was a very good return to the roots, fun game.
Yeah.
That was a DS game. I've not played Dragon Quest 9 yet. I want to because everybody I've talked to who's played it has raved about it.
I thought Dragon Quest 9 was a DS game.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I got it.
Dragon
backwards.
Quest 8 is the PS2 game.
PS2, yeah.
Yeah, which was re-released on 3DS and
it got re-released. Okay.
PS4, I think.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It was re-released on like 3. Oh, it might have been 3DS and phones.
Possibly, yeah.
My information is wrong somewhere.
Yeah. So, yep. 5 and 6 came out in Super NES Japan only, which we'll get to eventually in this podcast, I'm sure.
I'm sure there are translations.
Yep. There is. I played it before in the past.
Okay, cool.
Yep. 7 was PS1. Like 8 was PS2. And then 9 was DS, and then 10 just came out recently for both like modern systems. So
10?
Yeah.
I thought it was 11. No.
What? Oh, I can't remember the numbering system. Whatever the newest one is.
I thought 10 was like the online one or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we never got that one in the West. Yep, that was online only, like Japan. You're right. 11's a new one. All right, I think that so I think we got it right, folks. Finally. Anyway, the point is like,
wow, you want to hear how many releases of Dragon Quest X there are?
A lot.
Yeah, there's one on the Wii, the Wii U. There's one on Windows, Android, iOS, 3DS, and then they remade it for. Then they made a version 2 for Wii U, and Windows, version 3, and version 4, which was released on the PS4 and the Switch.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I am so jealous of the Japanese people. They always get the good games.
Yeah. Well, Dragon Quest 11, I've heard amazing things about, so I do want to play that game eventually.
I want to play it too.
So, but yeah, I've always been a huge fan of the series, and going back to roots like this was a lot of fun. The Super NES versions of the games are very impressive. One of the biggest changes the games, and something I really love, is that they minimized, they cut down the amount of grinding you have to do in these games big time, because they simply doubled the amount of experience and gold that each enemy gives you. Right. So you can go through Dragon Quest 1, for example, like a single day, because of that. So,
yeah, they remade it on like phones and whatnot.
Yep. So
yeah, I have that on my phone.
There was an earlier, There was also an earlier Game Boy Color ports these games too.
I have that Dragon Quest 1 and 2.
Right, but these, but these versions of the games have more differences. They added in more things to the game that were present in later games of the series, like Meadows, for example. Right. So and Seeds. So, very good ports. So, and those changes really help. Those changes really help give the games a more modern-esque facelift to make them more enjoyable in today's environment. I mean, there's still classic grinding RPGs, but they're certainly improved in that sense, at least. So, yeah, very good ports, and these have also been fully translated for us Western players also.
Yep.
You even have the option. You even have the option, at least for Dragon Quest 1, of playing it either in its original Old English, like the NES version of the game was, or in its more properly translated modern English.
I don't know why they decided to do that back then. It's not the only game. It's not the only game that has decided to do that. It's just like, hey, just instead of localizing it like this, why don't you just put it in actual English? It just
I think I talked about this. I think I talked about this in the podcast originally. But Dragon Quest was a very, very animation in Japan, so anime was not huge over here yet. So Nintendo made Nintendo published the game over here in the West. They made a decision to try to make it a more.
I know Nintendo back
European,
then ruined everything for everyone. I know.
so they wanted to make it a more European style medieval inspired game. So they changed the text and the graphics and whatnot to match that.
So annoying, it really is.
The box cover though, this game is amazing. I've always loved the box cover of Dragon Warrior.
I don't remember what it is.
Yeah. So, humble origins of a series still going strong today. So,
yeah, in this
much fun.
Square Enix world.
Yeah. Next up in the list is, it looks like another PC port. Which I think this one actually came over to the system very, very well. Lemmings.
Yeah.
Very popular computer game, still very popular today. Lemmings is still around. Created by DMA Designs, now
It's still around.
Games.
They're making new ones.
Well, the franchise is semi in hibernation, but the last game came out like several years ago, so I think it was like phones and PS2 that got a game.
Weird.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
Huh.
But yeah, Ferg jokes in this podcast often that he crams for his podcast like a test, and that 6 months later he doesn't remember anything about it. Something that's happened to me. So
I mean, for me, it's just like once the podcast's done, hey, remember that episode about Rival Turf? What? What's that? What are you talking about? I can't remember what our last episode was. It was probably Mario Paint or something, right?
Lemmings is a very interesting mix of a puzzle platforming and RTS elements.
Well, where's the platforming come into play?
Well, you're trying to navigate your guys across various platforms and then do special timed actions the right power at the right time, for example.
Does that count as a I thought platformers had to be like you're controlling a character and you gotta jump on platforms and
you are controlling a character. It's your choice of...
you're not controlling them. You're telling them what to do. I guess I guess you can make the argument that you are still you are I should say directly controlling them.
Right.
You're not directly controlling them. You're telling them what to do.
Right.
I don't know. It definitely is some sort of RTS though. Real time strategy. Esque.
Because especially later on in the game, with some of those puzzles, you have to be a split-second timing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I'm very bad. I'm very bad at this game.
Yeah.
They just keep going, and it's like, no, stop walking off the side. No, stop. And next thing you know, there's one guy left, and he's the guy that you finally picked to tell everyone to stop, but he was the last one, so he's the one standing there, like, hey, where is everyone? Where'd everyone go?
It's a very tough game, but
it is. It's not for me. I like games that let me take my time, or let me pause it and do what I need to do, or whatever.
Well, you can't pause the game anytime you want to look around, at least. So
but you can't pause the game and then give an order, right?
No,
I don't remember you could. Yeah,
no.
I don't like that.
No.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's just I'm very bad at it.
Yeah, it's very cute. The characters do all kinds of cutesy things, and the sound effects are very cute.
Yeah.
So there's one bit where if you set the guy to blow up, counter will start from 5 to 1, and the counter hits 0. He'll actually say oh no, blow up, and pieces of him and pictures of him go flying all over the place.
That's what happens when I get angry. A timer just appears above my head, and then I just blow into pieces.
Right. So. Yep. Super NES version of this game is very, very good. It's a very good port. So. Yeah. Just as much fun playing it here with the, on the PC. I think
it's a shame that I think this came out right before the mouse or whatever. It'd be nice to have support for the mouse. I think the sequel definitely got mouse support.
The sequel, yes, the sequel has mouse support.
I remember we talked about that.
Right. So, after that was there a special 2-part draft episode where
my favorite part about this is you named the first one Part 1 and then you named the second one Part B. That's my favorite part about this.
that was a mistake. By the time I realized it, I'm like, oh, screw it. Whatever.
I bet you a lot of people didn't notice, but like when I looked at this list, I was like, wait, there's a part 1 and a part B.
Well, when you look at them in a list like that, yes, it stands out. Like it stands out very easily. But hopefully most people like didn't know that because they simply just grabbed it from their like podcast program.
That's
or
right,
whatever,
Greg.
so.
Very recently, I released a Master System Masterpieces, and I actually misspelled something, and I didn't realize until like a day later.
Too. Oh yeah. This is also this is also misspelled too. You didn't see that?
I don't see a misspelling. I see that for some reason one of these episodes, super is not capitalized.
Look at
lacking consistency.
Look at the full title for Part B.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that. Podast.
I must have been really tired posting this.
Maybe.
Because I made 3 mistakes like that title alone. So.
Yes, you did actually.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But anyway, yes. That was a lot of fun. We had
oh
some
wait,
great guys.
I just realized because the first one you put SNES and then the second one you put Super NES.
Right. And then podcast misspelled. That's number 2.
Oh yeah, and then of course part B. Oh boy.
Right. So yeah. Like I said,
that must have been a good night.
Yep. So anyway, enough about enough of pointing out like my errors.
No, that's my favorite part of the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
So after that, we had another guest episode. We were joined by Shinto from the Jaguar Game by Game podcast to talk about one of his favorite childhood games, Clay Fighter. Very interesting fighter game.
I'd say it's kind of alright. It's not the best thing out there.
It's fun.
I think the best part of it is like everything but playing the game, to be honest. Like looking at everything and hearing the music and seeing the backgrounds and the character stuff was really good. That was the best part, but like playing it was like,
Yeah, the music, not only the music, the voice work in this game is also like very impressive also. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, the tournament version of this game is much better. I think like you and I like both agreed upon that.
Yes, we played that together and yeah.
So, but very, very interesting game. That is, I also think we can agree that this game is much better than much better than its attempted N64 sequel many years later,
which is very expensive because it was an exclusive game.
I think the tournament version of that was exclusive. I think the regular version sold in stores.
The sculptor's cut is the
Yep.
I know,
but
yeah. It's so weird. Like, still to this day, I'll buy stuff, and some of the games will be like, we'll either have like a label on it, saying Blockbuster, or the case will have Blockbuster labeling on it. It's just the weirdest thing ever. And it's like it's also one of those things where like, were you one of those people who stole from the store when you were working there and now you're selling this like years later, or did you buy this in like a fire sale because Blockbuster was going out? Because there are those people who stole from the store when they were working there. Yeah.
There was a
I'm looking at you, Jimmy.
I've talked about this before in the past. The past, like how lucky I was a kid because my mom managed a video store, so I got to play a whole bunch of new NES games when they came out. But obviously she didn't have everything. So there wasn't a video store in town. They also like rented rented games from. And I was a senior in high school in '94 when they went out of business, and they put their whole NES and Super NES Genesis library up for sale for like pennies on the dollar. And by the time I found out about it, it was too late. And I so wish I'd been able to get there, during the first couple of days of the sale.
That would have been amazing.
I would have cleaned them out.
My favorite thing is like when you go to stores that you don't expect, like, oh, this is a I don't want to say like thrift store, but like, oh, like this is like a library or whatever, or this is this, and you go in there and it's like, oh wow, I just like found a game that I was really looking for, or like I found a game that's like kind of hard to find.
Right.
Like that's the best thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So Clay Fighter, so decent fighting game. Like very interesting. Very important game for its time. Kind of holds up today, I think. Like most games.
I don't know about the playing part holding up. It's kind of just the playing part is like a kind of like mediocre kind of.
Well, most fighting games, I think it's better with 2 players. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Any multiplayer game is better with multiple players.
Speaking about 2-player games, George, you and I certainly had a lot of fun by playing this one.
Oh, it's not even just a 2-player game. It's up to 4 players. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. We obviously didn't get to try that part, but.
Are you telling me you didn't clone yourself?
Yeah, I wish. That'd be like so handy. I'd have like this person go to work, this person like shop, this person like play games.
Yeah, until they all gang up on you and beat you up because hey, why do I have to keep going to work? One of them, at least one of them's gonna get so disgruntled they're just gonna beat you up.
Oh yeah, for sure. But, yeah. So Pieces, another Japanese only game, but it's a very little text in this game.
Not Japanese only.
Oh, that's right. It's not. I'm sorry. I was thinking it
came out over here.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure why I was thinking it was a Japanese only. Maybe because it's kind of like. It is rare over here. The prices of it are pretty high, but and this is a game that George, since you do seem to have a fetish for it, that is for the mouse.
Whoa! You gotta watch out for that. But I didn't even play with the mouse. I just played with the controller. It worked fine.
Yeah, it works fine. Like I found the controller. Very unique game. Very interesting. Is that where is nothing where I quite like it on consoles until recently. So.
And then there was like a spiritual sequel or whatever by the same people, but like
yes, on the PlayStation. You're right.
Yeah, I played that recently, and that is a multiplayer only game.
Really?
Yeah, there's no AI or anything.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that at some point, like another podcast.
Yeah, no, it's a cool game.
So, back to ports again. I didn't realize just how many ports Super NES had. It had a lot. This was a Patreon pick, Earthworm Jim, which is a game I had not played on the PC, but I had played a little bit on the Super NES. It's a pretty good. As far as ports go, it's pretty good. I thought they did a very good job of porting the game over. This is a platform game which is very well known for its whimsical gameplay, its over-the-top humor, its graphics, music, that kind of stuff. So, very cute, but a very challenging game.
Yeah, sure. It is better than Earthworm Jim 3D. That's what I can say.
Yeah, I think Earthworm Jim 2 is a little bit better than this game is, but most sequels, a lot of sequels are.
I've heard a lot of people say the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it's just the people that I listen to, but I've heard a bunch of people say
right.
This, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. So Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good console port. I mean, this is a very good platformer game. I think that still holds up pretty well today.
Not my type of game, but it definitely has a nice presence.
Sure. Yep.
So.
And the humor's very good in the game too. It's very funny.
Yes. The cow, and then it comes back at the end. And...
Right.
All right. Well, after Greg's cell phone call, I don't remember what I was talking about. So, Earthworm Jim. It's a game, and it's got a nice presence, but it's not for me.
Yes. You did say that, so we're covered either way.
There you go.
Yeah, so back to RPGs again. This is a very interesting game. Robotrek.
Yeah.
Developed by Quintet, which is a company that made one of my all-time favorite games, like About Time, like Activizer. It's a very interesting game. It didn't get much attention over here, partly because that Enix did a very poor job marketing it. And also the fact that this game in Japan was designed as more of a kid's game. Which I can see why, but it's also kind of challenging too to parts. So, I mean, it's not kiddie. It's more like...
This is pretty censored in the North American version, though.
It
like
is,
the,
yes.
The,
Yep,
the
yep.
what do you call it? The dialogue and everything was changed quite a bit to my understanding.
Yes, but the gameplay's still fun.
Yeah, the title in Japan was... Oh, what was it again?
Something
it was like,
really weird.
Yeah, no, it was something like Goofy or whatever. It was like, oh, geez, I knew this too, and I can't remember the name. It's something. Go on, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it has it's
Slapstick. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it is. Slapstick. So
Yeah, which
kind of,
like was very fitting for the game, but then like
right. Yep.
since
yeah,
they changed everything, they also this is one of those examples of like the box art changing, where like the box art for this game's not even fitting at all. Really, it's just like some kind of spaceship in space. It makes no sense.
You do go to Space Station in the last stage of the game, so I mean that's where the final area is.
Yeah, but that's like, well, that's like taking the last stage of any game and putting it as the box art, and it's like, wait, what's this supposed to mean? You know, I don't know. That is not a very good reason as to why they made that the box art.
There was a section, the section that the Retro Fury podcast used to do several years ago, which is called like which they called like they made fun like box art. Like you call that, you call that art. Like what it was called. So
yeah,
and I'm sure I don't know. This game made that list, but I know that Rival Turf did. But anyway, yeah, Robotrek. Anybody who enjoys RPGs definitely needs to check this out because it's very. I might go so far as to say a hidden gem on this system because it's actually a very good game.
Yeah, it is a very good game.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in a top 10 list or anything, but it's
but it's still very good.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting how they all the stats and everything work. You know, you level up.
Right.
But your robots don't. What happens when you level up? You're able to put in more stats into the robots, but then on top of that, you can create new weapons or find weapons and upgrade them. And
yeah, there's definitely some Pokemon.
Like
there's definitely some Pokemon elements.
Yeah, there's so many different play styles for this game.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the music's very good too. It's a very good soundtrack, as you would expect from like a quintet. Yeah. So yeah, fun game. Speaking about great music, that may be the thing that you like the most about this game, George.
This is probably my least favorite game on here.
Ooh, ouch! Yeah, I actually like this quite a bit. But then, of course, I like platformers a lot more than you do. So
a lot more is an understatement.
Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures, which was developed by Factor 5, who'd go on to make the Star Wars Rogue Squadron games. And uses, curious enough, the same engine as Super Star Wars games, even though Super Star Wars was designed by a different company. So, this is loosely based off the first three like Indiana Jones movies, which George had never seen before playing this game. So
yeah, so then I watched all of them, and
it's like how'd you get through life without seeing some of the best movies of all time? It's beyond me, but
I don't know, Greg. List off a bunch of movies you haven't seen, and then I'll say the same thing.
Well, it's not just me who holds
that's kind of like saying, what, you didn't watch like WrestleMania like 10? Like what are you doing, Greg? You didn't watch WrestleMania 15? Like what are you doing? WrestleMania 2000? It was the year 2000, Greg. Did you not watch WrestleMania 2000? What are you doing with yourself?
I think the last WrestleMania I saw parts of was WrestleMania 7, which was the one that Alex Trebek helped to co-host. So it was interesting.
Is that why you watched it?
No, I didn't even know. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even know it was him until like years later.
Oh, weird.
But yeah, it was weird. Anyway,
You telling me you didn't watch WCW's Bash at the Beach? Are you telling me that, Greg?
Yes, I'm saying that. But,
Well, how dare you? Tell me you didn't watch ECW's Barely Legal?
Well, that sounds good.
I forget if it was good. I mean, ECW is kind of good in a sense of it is hardcore trash, but like,
yeah,
I like it. I don't know.
For the record, I have given George the chance to cover other wrestling games on this podcast. He's chosen to decline that honor. So
yeah, I mean, like it's always like, hey, what do you want to play? And I don't know. I just what does it matter? Like I don't have to choose them. So like,
right,
you know, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is a platformer game that plays very similar to Super Star Wars, and like Super Star Wars is also a very difficult game. But yeah, the music is very good. The graphics are very impressive. It handles very well, I thought. The controls are very smooth, which is very critical for a platformer game. Whether or not you enjoy it, I guess it depends upon your tolerance for difficulty platforming games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's games based off movies can turn out very, very badly. This could have been a lot worse. So I will say that. But yeah, so this was a fun game to me. I liked this one a lot. So like, very good effort. So I'm sorry that you didn't enjoy it as much, but different tastes and everything. But speaking about different tastes, we're now coming up to what is my favorite game we covered this year because it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Speaking of taste, is that salt? Oh, it's sea salt.
Yeah.
Oh.
We double dipped in this episode and covered New Horizons and its sequel, Uncharted Waters. Uncharted Waters I covered as a solo episode way back when. We decided, to revisit the game again to give it a more proper treatment. So, and yeah, Uncharted Waters, I love that game. It's probably I might go so as far as say Uncharted Waters is like my list of like top 10 favorite games of all time.
That first game is so rough to play, and then New Horizons was like a breath of fresh air where it's just like, whoa, okay, they actually made it for this platform now instead of just like porting it.
Yeah, I think you mean Uncharted Waters. That's a sequel.
Whatever it is.
Right.
Well, no, I said the first game and the second, whatever.
Okay, yeah. Right.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I do, yeah, so. But actually, both games did come out on PC first. Because Koei did that for a long time. Their games were Japanese computer games first, and then they finally ported over consoles in the West. So, but anyway, the sequel New Horizons is definitely definitely a much better game. It's a very unique, very challenging, very blended game with a whole bunch of genres. It's very impossible to pigeonhole the game in one kind of genre because you've got adventure, RPG, sailing, tactical, duels, card games, trading, exploring, resource management. I could go on. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Very good soundtrack. Very soundtrack of the game also, like very underrated. So yeah. Anybody enjoys like any kind of RPG-ish, light simulation, light exploring, open world games, definitely need to check these out. Well, at least New Horizons. Uncharted Waters, I agree. That game's a bit rough by today's standards. So, but yeah, fun games. I've always enjoyed these. Like a lot. Another series. Unfortunately, that has not done as well here in the West. But I still need to check out the new. I still need to check out the New Horizons. Like MMORPG too. You never got around to it.
I think I still have that downloaded somewhere.
But
just like the Bounty Hounds MMO that I never played. Oh, some people won't understand what I'm talking about.
Right. That's okay. Bonus coverage like for those who do.
Yeah, there you go. You get brownies for that one. I don't know.
So after that, we had the idea of cashing in of cashing out the huge popularity wave going on at that time period for Spider-Man, because of the new movie and also because of the new PS4 game, where we looked at what people consider to be probably the best Spider-Man game on the system, Spider-Man and Venom and Maximum Carnage, which is inspired off the comic book story for like the same name, which is a very which is a very good story and it's a very good game.
Yeah.
You can play you play the Spider-Man or Venom. They hand out.
And why would you not play as Venom?
Venom's fun to play. As. Yep. So there is a new Venom game in the works too, from what I understand. So that should be like pretty good.
Is there?
Yeah.
I know. In was it Ultimate Spider-Man? There are parts where you have to play as Venom.
He was great. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
In that game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I did not get far in that game though.
No, yeah, this game here, Maximum Carnage. This is a very fun beat 'em up game.
Yeah.
Right about the right challenge of difficulty, I'd say. Not too easy, not too hard. So, yeah, like, good graphics, definitely like a fun game. I really love the comic book. Yeah. They also use a very cool comic book style presentation, like between chapters to tell the story. It all looks like a comic book, which is very nice. A very nice touch. Kind of reminds me a little bit about a Comic Zone, which never came out in Super NES, but
the game is so ridiculously hard.
Yes, but it looks. Yes, that's true. But it's so gorgeous.
It's pretty cool. It's a cool game, but it's still way too difficult.
It is. I'll agree with you on that. Yep. So yeah, speaking about Koei and ports, we now come to another Koei game, like Nito, Way of the Ninja, which is another pretty unique, pretty obscure RPG, I'd say. It's not a pure RPG. There are some strategy battles in this game, like all the Nobunaga's Ambition series.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very fun game. We get to play as a ninja and get to do ninja stuff. So,
it's crazy because somewhat recently, Koei Tecmo has a I don't know if it's official. It's like an unofficial Discord, but there's actually like somebody for PR or whatever who's running it, and we were talking, and just so happened that I brought this game up for some reason, and it was crazy like how many people actually knew what I was talking about in that Discord. So there must be a lot of people who have been following since around the beginning, which is awesome.
But yeah, this is a very difficult RPG. I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. But anybody who's not played this and definitely who enjoys either Koei games or RPGs definitely should check this out. It's certainly a hidden gem on the system, I think.
Yeah, it's I gotta go back to that at some point and try to finish it.
Yeah,
at least try to get to the end and see what happens. I probably wouldn't be able to get to Nobunaga, but who knows?
Yep, matter of time.
A lot of grinding in that game, jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of grinding in this
I finally
game,
got a second party member, so that's all good.
Right.
Yeah.
So after this, we go back to another very whimsical, comical, very graphically impressive game. Another Patreon pick. Uniracers. Also by DMA Designs. The same time they brought you Lemmings. So, this is a very interesting, weird game where you control a unicycle to try to do and you do races against other unicycles or cycles and perform stunts. The game was so good, as a matter of fact, Pixar sued them because they thought that their unicycle kind of ripped off their own unicycle when they're one of their shorts too much. So.
Your website has the color blue on it. I'm going to try to trademark that and sue you for it. Ugh.
What do you remember about this game, George?
I'm not very good at it.
It's tough. Yep, it's a hard
not
game.
tough. I'm just not very good at it. I probably would like this much more if I was good at it, but I have to enjoy it from a distance because I am terrible at it.
Right.
It's very nice though. It has a very nice presentation. It has a very creative idea.
Yep. Graphics are gorgeous.
Very different from a lot of games of that era. You know, like
Right.
It's an awesome thought. Like it's great when somebody comes up with something new and it also works.
Right.
Because there's a lot of games that try new things, but like they don't usually work, which is a shame. And now that is a problem at the times where nobody's really trying anything new and everything's about the same, isn't it? But yeah, this game is nice and colorful, and it has an interesting idea of apparently not synthetic. All I would argue all unicycles are synthetic.
I hope they are.
What is the word I am looking for, Greg? It means that they're alive. What is that word?
Oh, like animated.
That's not the word I was looking for, but yes.
Okay.
The unicycles that are alive essentially, and they are racing themselves, or they're racing against others, but they're using themselves to race against their opponent. It's very interesting, and all this on top of that, you get boost. You speed up from doing tricks and whatnot. That's really cool. That's definitely a mechanic that has been brought over to other racing-esque games where, like either some kind of motocross or ATV or, whatever. You could do tricks and get some boost or nitro or whatever, stuff like that. And actually is, still kind of a thing today where you do stuff like that to get some kind of boost. So it's really interesting how a game like this, not a lot of people think about it now, but apparently maybe it sparked something in other games. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, this is a very unique game. I can't think of any other game. I know of other games where you can actually get to control like a racer Uniracer. So, the unicycle. But
well, I mean, I don't know other games where you could control Uniracers either.
But yeah, so it's a very different take on the racing game formula. So, but fun game, I think. So,
yeah.
Speaking about different takes on our formulas, George, this one's one I'm thinking about when I said Japanese only earlier. This is a Japanese only game.
Yeah.
Tetris Battle Gaiden, where they tried to do some new aspects and some new ideas to Tetris formula. And I think for the most part they succeeded. This is a very fun game.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Definitely made for parties or whatever, or at least playing against another person. There is some sort of story arcade mode or whatever that you can go through, but it is very obvious that this is made to play with multiple people and not against the AI. Yeah,
the one-player mode in this game is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It kind of teaches you how to play the game in a sense, I guess. I don't know what they're saying. It's all in Japanese. So
yes.
Yeah. And there's no reason to translate it because it's basically all just flavor text. You can figure out what you're doing.
There is no patch for this game as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to make one.
The only game we're covering in this episode.
95% of the options in the options menu are in English anyway. So
sure, right, yeah, so you can muddle through things. But I mean, as the name suggests, this is a game where you're battling against the other player, where you can not only can do power-ups to cause good things to happen to you, you can also use power-ups to cause bad things to happen to your opponents. It's a very nasty things you can do to them too. Also, some of the effects, some of the power-ups. So. So three different game modes which also offer a variety and challenge. Very. I knew nothing about this game before you brought it up. So this is a very fun Tetris game. As I said before, a lot of people online who don't like Tetris all that much really seem to love this game. So because of how different it is. Now I'm changing the Tetris formula. So I guess that's your final evidence you need for whether to flavor how good this game is.
Yeah, I guess so.
And finally, our last game of the year, last but not least, another port. This is I actually played this version of the game first on the Super NES, so I have a lot of nostalgia and like this game. The port of the very popular PC, originally Amiga game, Out of This World.
Amiga's PC, some kind of PC.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, nowadays PC is PC, but back then PC meant an actual PC compatible computer.
Yeah, but like PC also stands for personal computer, and I would argue that Amiga is a computer. I don't know. I bet you there's a bunch of people yelling at me right now.
That's how you that's how you differentiate the lines, the different lines, because they were compatible with one another. You had the you had the PC line, the Amiga line, the Atari line, the Apple line, so on and so on. But anyway, so yeah, Out of This World, also known as Another World in Europe. This is a very interesting take on an adventure game because it has because it uses rotoscope graphics, a la the Prince of Persia games. And pretty much is open-ended as far as the story goes. The game tells you very little story, very little hints. Kind of just kicks you out this like whole daring world of like, okay, go get killed 20 times.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it's a very fun adventure game. I think it still holds up pretty well today. I think. I do want to check out the remake. The 20th anniversary remake came out recently, which was like very, very good. So. But I think this version of the game is still pretty good, and it was a very difficult game to program. Also, the programmers certainly had a lot of challenges to overcome to do this. Probably because of how cheap the interplay was. So, it's a very good programming effort for of all things considered. It plays very, very well, I think.
Yes.
So. I know George struggled. George, I know that you did not history with this game that I did. So I know you struggled at it some, but you had some fun with this game though, right?
Yeah, it's just some things were just, I don't know, just like asking for too much, because like there were sections where you had to do five things, but you had to do them like in quick succession. But like also the controller, or not the controller. The character controls like kind of loose in a way, and also like I'm also not very good at being fast and like on the spot, so like that's definitely partly my fault. But I mean, this is a very interesting game, and I did watch a video to the end, and it's so short, but like the reason why it takes you forever to play, because you got to figure out where to go and what to do, and then also you gotta like be able to do it, so you're gonna definitely die at least a few times, but definitely more than that. So it's an interesting game. I would like to see some kind of actual like official sequel, and like something that's much longer and something like that, but I guess it's an impossible thing to ask for nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people got inspired by this game. Like Kojima, for example, has put it up there as one of like favorite games.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people.
Oh yeah, Kojima made games very similar to Out of This World. Yes. Yeah.
I think it was inspired by it. So, but,
I know what you said.
I mean, like because like I can definitely see some of the connections, because he loves to tell story in the gameplay, not just in the gameplay. I mean, obviously his games have a lot of heavy story elements, but a lot of stories also told in the gameplay itself. And this game, Out of This World, is entirely story-based gameplay. So I think he probably got that from this game.
Yeah.
So anyway, very good port of a classic game, and there's not really too many adventure games like this on the system, so it's definitely very very unique. Good game.
Yeah.
So anyway, that wraps up our games that we covered 2018. George, I think you mentioned that probably your favorite game from this year was Front Mission Gun Hazard.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it probably is.
Yep.
I think it is.
Yeah. That really surprised me, like how much fun the game was, because I really didn't know what to expect going into it, and it's a very, very good game.
Yeah, no, like I said, if it came out, if all the Front Mission games up into this game came to the West, this would probably be the most popular one in this over here. Because it's so actiony, but it's still enough of an RPG, and it's still front mission enough, so I don't know. This is a really cool game.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's why sometimes looking at Japanese games, it's like, holy crap, these games are so much better. It's just, it's really weird because like there are so many Japanese games that we didn't get for a lot of them obvious reasons. And you look at, I don't know if it's just me, but like you look at them and a lot of them look much better than a lot of games that we did get over here. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's the art style or what it's based off of or what, but there's a lot of games that we have not gotten over here that you look at, it's like, wow, this looks really good, actually.
Yeah.
You
can certainly argue that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that wraps up this special episode. We thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope to have your support again in 2019 as well. We already have some episodes planned out for next year, and it should be like a very good year of coverage. So, as I mentioned, this is our last episode of the year. We will return in January, early January, with our next regular episode. And what game we're covering for that episode again, George?
Fire Striker.
Yes, I still have not played it yet.
That's all right. I haven't either.
Right. So I don't know. So as I said before, I know nothing about this game.
It's a cool game.
It's be interesting. So as always, we appreciate your support. We are a proud member of both the Throwback Network and Retro Junkies. We can find a whole bunch of other great retro-themed gaming podcasts and non-gaming podcasts, for that matter. You can send us an email if you want to at the SNESpodcast@yahoo.com. You can also check us out on our Facebook, where we have a presence, and you can also like the page and give us questions, suggestions, comments, games you want to have us cover, that kind of stuff. We are available on iTunes, where we play reviews, very much appreciate it. George, where can listeners contact you if they wish to?
I guess Twitter, if you're interested, be at Mr. Chief at MISTURCHEF, and yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right, so thank you again for podcasting with me again this year, George. Appreciate it very much.
You're not going to bring up the other thing that we have?
Oh, our other podcast.
That's not the other thing I'm talking about.
Well, I might as well mention it. George and I also do another podcast together, the PlayStation Power Podcast, where we cover PS1, PS2, and now PSP games.
Yep.
So, no, I don't remember what the other thing is, George.
The Patreon.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, he says.
Yeah, www.patreon.com/the SNES podcast.
All right.
Where for as little as $1 a month, you can get some nice perks, such as early access to the shows, being able to dictate a game for us, or having a personalized message sent to you where George and I will ramble at you for like 10 minutes.
I don't think that's how that last one went, but okay.
Well, it's how the last one that we made went.
Maybe.
This will drop before the holidays are done. So I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And also Happy New Year. Be safe, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you again in 2019.
Happy Kwanzaa.
That also. Take care, all.
Goodbye.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man.
Now you're playing with power. Super power.